How the heck do you aim in Valorant? Most people have asked themselves this question at some point in time, myself included. Aiming in Valorant is hard, and without the right guidance, you can end up frustrated that you're not hitting your shots. If this is you though, you've come to the right place. This video is going to be the ultimate guide to mastering recoil in Valorant. By the end of this, you'll be landing headshots like no tomorrow. My name is Dr. Zora, and with that being said, let's jump right into the action. It's important to remember though, recoil control is just one of the important things you need to learn if you want to master Valorant. We hired multiple top tier pros whose main goal is to teach you everything you need to master the game. This comprehensive course makes learning the game as simple as possible. Not to mention it's backed up by our rank improvement guarantee, so it's literally no risk to you. Let's get back into the video, but if you're looking for the fastest way to improve at Valorant, I highly recommend checking out SkillCapped.com. The link will be in the description below. Before we get into the nitty gritty details, there's a very important point we have to make. Do not follow the crosshair to control your recoil. Many new players make the mistake of trying to control the recoil by trying to keep their crosshair on the enemy target. In Valorant, the amount of recoil is actually greater than this, so if you try to keep your crosshair on the enemy, you're going to actually miss. Keep this in mind as we go through this guide. First up, we can't talk about recoil without talking about recoil patterns. Every weapon in the game has a pattern when you spray. For example, on the Phantom and Vandal, your bullets start off shooting vertically for 10 shots. From there, the bullets start to swerve left and right. One problem that comes up is that this horizontal pattern is not consistent. Sometimes it might start going to the left first, and other times it might go right. This makes it a lot tougher to control the recoil pattern as the pattern isn't predictable beyond those first 10 bullets. With that being said, we highly suggest focusing on controlling those initial vertical bullets when you're practicing your rifle aim. This is the easiest and most straightforward part of the spray pattern. Simply pull the rifle down as you spray to take care of that upward recoil. You can practice this by shooting at a wall first. Pull the crosshair down as you start to shoot and try to make one condensed hole after spraying 10 bullets. Practice this multiple times on the wall until you can consistently control the recoil. From there you want to go to the actual bots on the range. Spawn them all and then focus on the closer bots first. Focus on spraying only 10 bullets to kill each bot off and then move on to the bots that are further and further away. These bots will appear smaller and be harder to shoot down. Once you're comfortable there, you want to start adding movement between each bot kill. Alternate between strafing left and right every time you kill a bot. This movement is crucial. In most scenarios, there's going to be some sort of movement involved prior to a kill. This drill helps to coordinate your aim with the way that you move. Lastly, you want to head into deathmatch and focus on spraying no more than 10 bullets on every player. This will help to specifically work on controlling that vertical recoil. Make this the finite number each time you spray to force yourself to practice this specific part of the recoil. If you want to be at the top of the Valorant leaderboards, mastering this pattern is of high extreme priority. From there, we want to turn our attention towards the following bullets afterwards that swerve horizontally. Again, whether it swerves left or right is random. This makes it hard to predict, but we can still react to it. One thing to note is that your gun model will actually tilt side to side based on where the recoil is going. If the recoil is going left, the gun will tilt to the left. You can use this to adjust your recoil control by moving your crosshair to the opposite direction. Continue monitoring the gun model's movement and move your aim opposite of where it's going. That is one way to control the horizontal recoil, however it can be tricky for most people to do. The issue with this method is that it turns your attention away from the enemy model as you're now trying to look at your gun. A more efficient trick is to react to your bullets and where you see them landing against the wall behind the enemy. For example, if we're spraying at a wall and notice the bullets start to swerve to the left, then we know we have to move our crosshair the other way. The bullets will continue to change directions and you want to watch for that and change directions accordingly. This allows us to focus on the recoil that we're dealing in the present while also maintaining attention on the enemy. Essentially, we're killing two birds with one stone compared to the first method. Don't take that literally though. Now with horizontal recoil, practice is a bit trickier. You want to think of this as part of a supplementary routine for the vertical recoil that we just did. Start off with the target grid and work on trying to condense the spray pattern as much as you can. There will be bullets that stray to the side, that's okay. Your goal is to react to those bullets and bring them back to the middle afterwards. Repeat this until you're able to consistently get the spray pattern down with no more than 3 bullets straying off to the side. After that, you want to hop straight into deathmatch, but you will no longer set a bullet limit this time around. If you miss those first few bullets, prepare yourself to react to the horizontal recoil. This is really the only way you can practice the horizontal recoil, as you don't want to intentionally miss your first bullets. You also don't want to get to this point in most aim duels, which is why we consider this supplementary training. By mastering the vertical and horizontal recoil, you'll be able to essentially handle every gun in the game. The exception is the pistol though. A common mistake we see players making is that they spam their pistol as quickly as they can. In close range engagements, this can be okay as the recoil won't be very noticeable. However, at mid and long range fights, the recoil is going to be pretty strong with each pistol. The recoil is pretty widespread and will make it hard to land your shots. The best way to use your pistol is by firing just a touch slower than you maximally can. This allows the recoil of the pistol to reset prior to hitting your next shot. By doing this, your shots will actually land where your crosshair is. To make yourself a more slippery target along the way, you can strafe sideways between each bullet. This gives time for the recoil to reset while also making it harder for the enemy to hit you. With that being said, we're going to get into more advanced recoil techniques that will really take your recoil control to the next level. Now that we know the basics in controlling recoil, let's go into some advanced techniques that will take you up to that next level. First up, we have crouch spraying. The simple version of this is when you crouch prior to firing your weapon. When you crouch, it increases how accurate your shots are going to be. It also decreases the amount of recoil you'll experience, thus making weapons easier to control. This is okay to do, but we can do way better. Here's a more advanced technique that can make it even easier to control recoil, and that is crouching later into the spray. Spray your initial shots and then crouch. This will cause your aim to drop and therefore land back onto your target. This is practically a cheat code for recoil control. The crouching does all the work for you. Higo is a professional player in particular who uses this technique quite often. We found this to be most useful when we noticed our aim was starting off just a touch too high. For an instant fix, the crouch technique works perfectly to adjust. Quick disclaimer though, we only suggest doing this at higher elos, meaning platinum and above. The reason for this is because at the lower ranks, most players are aiming more at the body. By crouching down, you'll be lowering your head and giving them an easier headshot. So we suggest avoiding this if you're gold and below. At the higher ranks, this technique is most effective though. If the enemy is whiffing their shots, it's likely they're aiming too high. When they try to adjust their aim downwards, they'll end up missing again because you crouched. So against these fellas, the mid-spray crouch technique is incredibly strong. Moving on from there, we have to talk about spray transfers. When you're standing still, you can actually transfer your aim over from one target to the other fairly safely. The recoil pattern stays the same as long as you don't move. If you're ever in a situation where two players are firing you from two different positions, this is great knowledge to have. Quickly shoot down the first player and then remain standing and switch over to the next. Once you've snapped over, pull down the recoil just like you normally would. Both Tens and Trent pull this off and get 2 snappy frags in a moment's notice. Now those are some pretty crazy examples of situations that can occur. If you're positioned well, the more common scenario that may occur is when you're faced with 2 enemies side by side. Here it's much easier to wipe one player out and then make a small adjustment to the next by pulling down to control the initial vertical recoil. To show this in action, we have Boy pull off an ace without moving a single step. He runs into the enemy and carefully transfers his crosshair from 3 enemies that were clustered together. Besides the transfer, he pulls down the trigger to control the vertical recoil from the Phantom. From there, he stays in place and turns around to do the same thing onto the 2 remaining players for a pretty nutty ace. When you spray transfer, stay where you are and focus on moving to the next player while pulling down the vertical recoil like you normally would. That's all we have for today's video. Now get into your games and show off that perfect recoil control that will take you to the top of the Valorant leaderboard. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below to help support us. Also, as mentioned before, if you're looking for a fast track to improve in Valorant, we highly suggest checking out our new Academy course on the website. It has over 8 hours of video content that is designed to bring you up to speed on everything you need to hit Immortal in Valorant. Along with that, we have tons of awesome content, including agent courses made by actual Radiant 1 tricks, theory videos breaking down how to play every single map in the game, and so much more. We place a high priority here at SkillCapped on being the best place to improve at Valorant, but we don't expect you to just trust us on that, and that's why we offer a rank improvement guarantee. If you don't find the value you're looking for, it's literally no risk. So what are you waiting for? Click that link below and get started on your journey. As always, we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.